I think Jarred Vanderbilt is a guy that a lot of teams want. And I think the Phoenix Suns would really like to have Jarred Vanderbilt. And I think one of the things that we've seen, Jake, is that as we've gotten closer and closer to this December 15th marker, if you will,
right?
We are starting to see that there is a lot more interest in Jarred Vanderbilt. And I was talking to an NBA source last night, and we were pushing around ideas on what is going on with the Jazz and this John Collins trade that we've been telling you about for a couple of weeks now. And I do think the Jazz are in on John Collins. I absolutely am buying on John Collins. The question is, what are the Jazz willing to give up, and who is that third team? Well, if you are the Atlanta Hawks and the Utah Jazz, I think you pretty much need the Phoenix Suns to get involved because you know they want Jarred Vanderbilt. This is a trade that was presented to me last night by a source very close to the situation. The Jazz essentially would end up with John Collins and Dario Saric and a draft pick. They would ship out Mike Conley and Jarred Vanderbilt, and the Atlanta Hawks would end up with Jay Crowder and Landry Shamet, John Collins and Dario Saric to the Jazz, Mike Conley and Jarred Vanderbilt to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Now, I think the Suns are in a win right now window. I think this makes a lot of sense for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, this trade makes a lot of sense for all three of these teams, if I'm being honest. I think, firstly, for the Suns, they need a guy like Vando, who's a work-hard guy on defense, who can kind of bring them that X factor on defense without having to rely on him for a bunch of offense. I think those guys are important on a championship club. I also look at Conley. Conley's really interesting to me. A lot of people, as far as this trade are concerned, believe that if this were to go through, that Conley would come off the bench to spell Chris Paul because people feel like Campaign has been a bit of a disappointment for the Phoenix Suns, which I don't disagree with that this year. I think, though, that he was a huge contributor for them last year. I also think that, if you look at this situation for the Hawks, what's really interesting to me is that the Hawks do need some toughness, and I think Jay Crowder is somebody who obviously has proven himself. So from that standpoint, I think it checks a lot of boxes. Landry Shamet, take it or leave it. I mean, he's just a guy that's going to be on your bench. He could probably give you 10 points a night. Great. Not going to make or break your season, but, a guy who can knock it down from the corner a little bit. But for the Jazz, what really excites me about this deal, John Collins fits really well into this system. Somebody who gets up and down the floor, somebody who has a really nice offensive game at his position. Defense is going to be the question, as it is with a lot of guys. So to me, this trade does make a ton of sense for all three of these clubs. And the only question is, are the Suns willing to get involved in this? Because obviously they're going to need to be if this is going to go down.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt they want to get involved because they need to move Jay Crowder. And I think that's the one thing that we've heard a lot about is that the Suns need to move on from Jay Crowder. I think the Suns realize they're in a championship window, but not as this roster is constituted right now. And I think they know that they need better play from the point guard position. And I think if you're bringing if you're bringing Campaign off the bench instead of Mike Conley, you're not doing so well. If you're starting Chris Paul and bringing Mike Conley on as a 30-minute guy per night, I think you're in really good shape if you're Phoenix. If you can have a situation where Devin Booker, Mike Conley, and Chris Paul are all on the floor together, that makes Devin Booker a far more effective tool. And I think there's absolutely room for that. Fast. And I think Jarred Vanderbilt brings them that ability to defend. Because right now, Jarred's an odd fit here in Utah because he is a defensive-only guy, really. He's not somebody you can count on for threes, and let's be honest, the Suns don't need another three-point shooter. What they need up front is a more physical guy who can rebound and defend, and that's Jarred Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And I think he plugs right into that instead of having a guy in Jay Crowder right now that you're paying not to play basketball. You've got to figure that out. And I think Landry Shamet has just not worked out in Phoenix. And I think he would be a nice role player for Atlanta off their bench. And if Atlanta ends up with Jay Crowder and Landry Shamet, and the Jazz end up with a front-line power forward like John Collins and a bench contributor like Dario Saric, and they end up with a draft pick, this trade makes sense across the board, Jake. I don't see why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's really interesting from a financial perspective as well. You're getting Mike Conley's money you've spent, you've paid most of Mike's contract out, obviously. So I think from a contractual standpoint for the Suns, it's a good deal as well. So I don't know. I think we've heard a lot of rumblings about the Jazz and Suns doing business over Rudy Gobert last year before the Rudy thing happened. And I think that, you've heard the rumblings about, John Collins being moved to the Jazz. Again, in the Rudy stuff, we told you that was a possibility. And then everything kind of just got put on ice after Danny Ainge went and pulled the trigger on the T-Wolves deal. So to me, it's not surprising. And remember that the window to start trading guys is just about here. So to me,
today,
today, isn't it? Yeah. So to me, it's like, hey,
those restrictions. The restriction that expires today is, hey, you signed a player over the summer, you can trade him now.
Yeah. So like now you're in the window in time where you can start moving guys, and this is where it's Danny Ainge time, frankly. Like, with all due respect to the guys on the floor playing the Pelicans tonight and the basketball activities, none of that matters on this day moving forward, because it's time to start building this roster. It's time to start making moves
that
are going to put you in a position to start building for next season. Yep. So while, I am going to watch this game tonight and I am going to enjoy it, and there are things that we're going to watch for and look for, the greater picture and what you need to understand as a Jazz fan is there's more happening besides just this game. And I would not be surprised if a deal like this, a 3-teamer that sends 6-7 guys around, happens. That just would not be surprising.
Yeah, and it was explained to me that the Jazz and the Hawks were very close on a John Collins deal over the summer, and it just didn't come to fruition because the Jazz didn't have a third team to make that work. But Atlanta has sputtered quite a bit. I think we're watching Phoenix sputter quite a bit, especially with Book out of the lineup. And I think both of those clubs know if they have postseason aspirations, they have to make that deal. But a Jazz source last night was telling me that the Utah Jazz see John Collins as a guy that they can develop, that they can build on, because he's really struggled defensively, frankly. That's been his biggest issue. It's not three-point shooting, none of that. His offensive game, his rebounding game is fine. He has really struggled to keep guys in front of him, and they feel like, from what they see on tape, that the Jazz feel like that they can build on his defensive game, that they can make him a better defensive player, bringing him into their system. And I agree with that. I think what we've seen in Colin Sexton, and I think really what you've seen in NAW, what you've seen in THT, I mean, you're getting better performances out of these guys. You're getting a better performance, frankly, out of Jarred Vanderbilt and all of these guys than you've seen in recent times. And I think when you look at where this Jazz team is, I mean, you're not going to trade a Lauri Markkanen to anybody, I don't think. I think he may be one of those guys. And I was told last night that NAW really has kind of solidified his spot in the rotation on this Jazz team. It's no longer a fluke that he's playing well. I think I'd have a hard time seeing those two guys going.
Yeah.
I'd have a hard time seeing the Jazz before the trade deadline comes up February 9th, not making transformative trades, because they know that there is real appetite to move into this draft, and that if they acquire more picks and they acquire guys that they believe can be part of a championship roster, they're going to be in the best possible position, even more so than they are now. I think that's why this trade makes a lot of sense, and I think that's why you continue to see, and again, I don't mind tooting our own horn on this. We've had that John Collins deal since the summer. We've told you a month ago now that they were talking to Atlanta again about John Collins, and now you're seeing the rest of the media coming full circle on that. And I think what you're seeing is that there's going to be an early boost to trades here. I think in the last week of the month and in the first couple of weeks of January, I think you're going to see a lot of movement around the NBA. You look at the Chicago Bulls, who frankly last night gave another game away because they didn't execute at the end of regulation. They certainly never showed up in overtime.
Right.
I think that team knows that they have to make significant roster changes, and I think that team knows that they have pieces that are valued around the league. I don't see the Chicago Bulls trading DeMar DeRozan. I just don't see them doing that, and I know a lot of people are talking about that, but I absolutely see this team trading Patrick Williams. He's not a guy that you're hanging on to. And again, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Watching the Knicks, every minute of that Knicks game, I don't get it with Quentin Grimes. I don't. And I know that he's coming off of an injury, and I know he does some nice things. I don't get it. I understand why they wanted to keep Obi Toppin, and I see where they miss him. I don't get it with Quentin Grimes.
What do you mean you don't get it?
I don't see why you didn't make the – I mean, Quite literally, the Donovan Mitchell trade fell apart over their resistance to adding an extra pick and trading Quentin Grimes.
Yeah, well, from that standpoint,
I don't get
either.
it.
Like, I think that Grimes had himself a nice little night last night shooting a three. And I think he's got talent, but to not do a Donovan Mitchell deal over Grimes is just dumb. I mean, that's classic nicking.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. Please, if you're watching the show right now, give us a thumbs up as we talk Utah Jazz basketball. Hit that like button. Jazz and Pelicans tonight. A couple other things before we get to your Jazz comments. I actually am a John Collins fan. I see the top side potential.
Yeah.
And the thing that we have not been able to say previously that we now clearly can say about this Jazz team is they're taking development of talent seriously.
Seems that way.
Yeah, I think you're seeing, whether it was Sexton before the injury, NAW right now, you're seeing guys grow and develop in this system. I think you're seeing Mike Conley, again, before the injury, I think you're seeing Mike Conley playing a kind of an evolved style of basketball. You're seeing a ball movement system that is really benefiting guys like Malik Beasley. You're seeing that Malik Beasley is more now than just a stand in the corner and shoot threes guy.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing that Will Hardy and this Jazz development staff are getting more out of guys.
Which is important. I think that getting the most out of your assets that you can while they're with you is huge. I mean, because again, it's a win-win. I mean, if you develop a guy and then you wind up getting more trade value, that's a win. If you develop him and you keep him on your roster and he turns into a sixth man of the year or he turns into what NAW is producing right now, like it's a win. So to me, that was always a sore spot in the organization, like not developing guys, not, putting a bunch of effort into figuring out why Jared Butler was a complete dud. Now, again, maybe Jared Butler's not a great example, but you guys know the names over the years and we don't need to go through it again, but you get what I'm saying. Like there have been too many names that just have flopped for this organization. And we started kind of broaching that question over the summer, like, hey, you brought in David Fizdale to develop guys. And clearly that work, you're starting to see the fruits of that labor, and I love to see that. So that's why I say, even though John Collins maybe isn't Atlanta's cup of tea, that doesn't mean that for the Jazz he couldn't be a really key contributor. So again, this trade, I like this proposed trade a lot. I feel like you're not going to have to sacrifice some massive financial position. Your roster is going to be still very controllable. Like it puts you in a good spot to keep operating, and that's what I think is most important.
Yeah, and I think you look at John Collins' game. I mean, obviously, you'd like to see him be a double-double guy. If it's 12 points and 10 rebounds, I'm thrilled with that. On this particular Jazz team, John Collins is never going to be your number one option that you count on and that you have to have scoring 20 and 20 to win games. That's just not the way this league is set up, especially for 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
But John Collins can give you 12 to 15 points. He can give you 10, 12, 15 rebounds. That's his job.
Yeah.
And you can grow him defensively. That's your job. I think John Collins coming to the Utah Jazz makes a lot of sense because he is a guy, frankly, that when you look at his game log, he's somebody that I think if you can get him 30 minutes a night and you can really refine his defensive skills, particularly positioning and footwork, I don't see any reason that this guy can't give you 15 and 12 on a nightly basis.
Well, and I think that the really fascinating thing is he's 6'8", 230, I think. So like he's obviously not
6'9", 230, yeah.
6'9", 230. So he's not a 7-footer. But that doesn't have to be a negative. I think that could be a beautiful contrast between him and Walker Kessler. And I think that Walker Kessler is somebody who clearly needs development as well. So if John Collins, I would start John Collins. That's just me though.
Yes.
I would be starting him and I would spell him, 8 minutes into the first quarter. And then that's when Will Hardy and that developmental staff need to go to work because again, the NAW model can work for the John Collinses of the world or other players where NAW's making some mistakes, gets chewed out, they go through the tape, they develop you, and then you have points of emphasis. Like, hey, we know that you like to play fast and that's within your strength, but we can't turn the ball over. So we want to see less turnovers out of you tonight. Like, That's how you develop guys. You say, hey, we really appreciate what you're doing, but you can't keep doing this one thing. And then all of a sudden they start focusing on that. And what do you know? He turns the ball over less. So to me, that's why I think they're seeing so many gains developmentally because they're just better in that area now than they were.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Let's see. Talking with Raphael podcast. What's up, my guy? Which team will be best for Mike Conley? I thought the Lakers would be a good fit for him. I would agree the Lakers would be a good fit for him. But if you're going to trade Mike, it's going to be to somebody that's got a chance to win a championship right now, and that's the Phoenix Suns, frankly. I think Dallas would be a great fit for him. I think Mike Conley would be a really nice fit with the Knicks. I mean, there are a lot of places where he'd be a good fit, but how many of those teams are in position right now to win a title? Not many. And I think when you look at Mike's game and his skill set right now, I think he fits perfectly in with Phoenix.
Yeah.
He's somebody that doesn't care to be or need to be the number one option, but can if you need it, right? He's a guy that still shoots the three at a very high level. He's a guy that still can get in the paint, but he's not a guy that can play 35, 40 minutes. He's a guy that can play 25 or 30 minutes a night. And I think we're seeing that here. So it'll be interesting to see where he winds up. But I agree. I think the Lakers would be a good fit. But if you're going to move Mike Conley, you have to tip your cap to him and put him on a place that can contend for a championship. Cody says, Monty, would you guys do an emergency casting if a trade happens later today? Like, you mean a show? Yeah, we would, but a trade won't happen today. Brent Terry says the Jazz have a team to attract a star, but will have to trade for one. This just adds more ammo. Well, I mean, again, that's probably a different conversation for a different time. But yeah, I think you're going to struggle to get the top free agents in the NBA to come here.
Yeah.
Especially after what happened with Donovan Mitchell. And he's been pretty vocal behind the scenes. From what I'm told, Donovan Mitchell has told a lot of people that he did not enjoy the last 18 months of his time with the Jazz. And that Don feels disrespected by Danny Ainge, and I don't disagree with that. They had and I still don't have clarity on it. Danny won't talk about it, and Don hasn't really talked about it. They had a falling out of some kind, and I've heard that repeatedly. Danny Ainge and Donovan Mitchell had a falling out.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that was particularly. I am pretty certain that was in the Dallas series. You can point directly back to that Dallas series as the day this franchise died.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the moment that Bojan Bogdanovic missed that shot, I think this franchise died. And when I say this franchise died, Donovan Mitchell was out the door the minute Bojan missed that shot.
Yeah.
And I think we knew and we'd reported for 18 months that they were trading Rudy Gobert. That the minute Danny Ainge got in, they told Donovan Mitchell, hey, we're going to build this team around you. We're going to trade Rudy Gobert.
Keep it real.
And I think Don melted down internally. Don melted down during that Dallas series. And the narratives that you hear about Don in his time with the Jazz, especially the last season he was here, last year, he didn't trust his teammates.
Yeah, and I think his play reflected that.
I think his play absolutely reflected that. Yeah. His lack of diming out to Rudy Gobert was not surprising.
And now you see what kind of passer he is for Cleveland.
And you see what kind of defender he is for Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's where this team died. And I think you look at Danny Ainge, Danny does it his way or no way, and I think he's done a great job with it.
Yeah,
I really do think he's done a great job with it. Brent Terry says, how would Collins and Markkanen fit into the same team? I think seamlessly. I think Lauri Markkanen is a guy that can be a 2, 3, 4. This team, though, let's be honest, on this team, Lauri Markkanen's a 3. They do not have a true power forward on this team. And it's a huge hole in this roster.
Yep.
And that's why this trade that an NBA source told me last night, this one right here, where you look at John Collins and Dario Saric, how many times have we heard that this team needs power forward depth?
Yeah.
You're getting a starting power forward in John Collins, and you're getting a depth power forward in Dario Saric, who's an expiring contract.
And John Collins would by far be the best pick and roll big on this team.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt about that.
I mean, the guy just gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to, first of all, I think when you look at Lauri Markkanen, I think you have to get healthy here.
Yeah.
I think he's got to get back to 100%. You've got to get Colin back on the floor in 100% or as close as he's going to get. Because those two guys, I really like Colin Sexton's development here. And I'm excited to see Sexton, NAW, Lauri Markkanen on the floor together.
Yeah, those three together would be a problem for teams to defend.
Again, I asked the same question we asked on Tuesday night. Have the Jazz found their future star in NAW? I think he's a huge part of this roster. I think he is a huge part of this roster.
Yeah.
And I think TryDayTrading.com should be a huge part of your life because they present Utah Jazz basketball on the Monty Show. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Always presents our NBA and Utah Jazz content. If you're a guy that's on the hamster wheel of side hustles, and, like last week I was talking to Reggie about Amazon FBA. We had said on the show that, hey, we do Amazon FBA. And one of the guys here at the Maverick Center was saying, hey, do you guys do it? We did, but it's too expensive and the fees are high, so you can't make money. And, well, hey, I'm driving Uber, or I'm, driving DoorDash. And what you're really doing is spending time away from your family, not earning the kind of money that you should be earning.
Yeah.
That's what the bottom line is. Spend more time with your family by going to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Make the money that you deserve to make. And the best part about Tri-Day Trading is there are people who have gone through their day trading program at TryDayTrading.com that are going to make $1,000 today. $1,000. It's what they do full time. There are guys who have gone through the Tri-Day Trading program that are going to make hundreds of dollars today because it's their side hustle. The bottom line is, though, you go through the Tri-Day Trading program, you're adding a new revenue stream to your life. You're adding more time with your kids. You're going to their games. You're going to their plays. You're going to the parent-teacher conference you seem to always miss. Get it done today. TryDayTrading.com. Don't wait for 2023. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Watch the free webinar. It's a free webinar. No obligation. Costs you nothing. Watch it and make a decision. And when you go through the program, just know that when you make your first trade, you don't do it with your money. You do it with TryDayTrading.com's money. And when you make money with their money, they give you 50% of the profit at TryDayTrading.com. Let's get back to your comments. SLC Stars, I think, NY Monty fan. By the way, don't forget Raleigh Alkins is going to join us coming up in about an hour at 8:30. Raleigh will be here to talk Stars. We'll ask him about Arizona. All that good stuff. Raleigh Alkins joins the show coming up at 8:30. NY Monty fan says, shout out to Mo Bamba. Shout out to Mo Bamba. NY Monty fan says, where's Jared Butler these days? Overseas? I don't know. He's not with the Stars. Agbaji's back with the Stars. Frank Jackson's actually kicking ass with the Stars.
Yes, he is.
I don't know. Let me real quick look where Jared Butler is. Grand Rapids Gold of the G League is where Jared Butler is. And I want to ask Raleigh Alkins about life in the G League, because it's not the easiest existence. Like, you look at his Arizona teammate Nico Mannion's playing in Italy right now. Like, why are guys choosing the G League over Euro basketball? I think it's pretty clear it's one step away from the NBA. I think that's why guys are choosing the G League. We'll ask Raleigh Alkins coming up in an hour at 8:30. Let's continue to get your comments as we talk Utah Jazz basketball. Jordan Wheeler says, is Ainge trying to make a marketed John Collins a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown type duo? I don't think so. I don't think that's who John Collins is.
Those two guys are nowhere near what Tatum and Brown are.
No, but let's be honest. This team right now, their biggest need is power forward. But you're going to have to transform your 2s and 3s on this team.
Yeah.
You don't have that guy yet. You don't have the star that's going to lead you to a championship yet. And again, I'm happy to say it. I believe that they're going to contend for a championship in the next 5 years. And I think they'll get awfully close to winning one.
Yeah.
I could very easily see this team going to the NBA Finals in 3 years. Not this year, not next year, the year after. I could absolutely see that. So I don't think that that's what John Collins is. His upside does not project to that. So that's just me. Tanner Plummer says John Collins and Laurie would work great together, I think. Yeah, I think they probably would too. Let's see. Tanner says this franchise started to die when the Jazz blew the 3-1 lead to Denver in the bubble in 2020. I don't think so. I actually think the loss to Denver brought this team closer together. And then the bickering and the selfishness and the me first before team first and the lack of trust person to person undid this team. I think the Denver series in the bubble absolutely brought this team together. I don't think it broke this team at all. Tyler P says teammates didn't trust each other either. Don wasn't perfect. No, he was not. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Mr. Johnny says, fun fact, John Collins was born in Utah. Yes, he's a Leighton product. John Collins is. Utah Jazz says, keep Vando, draft a power forward. Well, but that's not your, to me, that's not how you build a championship team.
Yeah, it's a philosophical thing.
Yeah. but that's just me. Tyler P says, no, NAW isn't a star. He'll be a great role guy on the bench, though. I think that's probably more realistic.
Depends. I mean, yeah, it's probably more realistic, but I think it depends how far he takes his development. I mean, yeah, it really depends.
Yep. Ryan Buckley says, morning, my guys. Morning, my bros. What's up, Buckley? Good to see you. Mr. Johnny says, what clicked for NAW? It seems like he went from rarely getting off the bench to massive contributor in a little over a week. I don't think it was over a week. I think that what changed was opportunity, and what changed was his willingness to be coached. I think he trusts Will Hardy. I think this team trusts Will Hardy. I think when you look at Will and you look at his terse exchanges with guys, those don't go sideways. That Colin Sexton incident on the bench didn't go sideways. In the Chicago game, when he yelled at NAW, called a timeout and yelled at NAW, I mean, we were there. We heard him say, not good enough, not effing good enough. Just like that, back to back. And he put NAW right back in the game, who hit a three in the corner and had a great defensive sequence.
And that's what guys want. They want the feedback, but they also want that next opportunity to go and execute, which is not how Quinn Snyder runs a team.
Yep. Jake Gordon says, love me some SLC stars, fun environment. It is a fun environment, actually. It is. I think you look at the Stars and you look at last night, they win 123-102 over Oklahoma City Blue. And you look at a guy like Leandro Balmero last night, 29 minutes, he scores 17 points. Frank Jackson, 29 minutes, 19 points. Micah Potter, Ochai Agbaji last night, 27 minutes, 13 points. You look at Raleigh Alkins last night, 12 points in 24 minutes. Like, you're seeing guys who potentially are going to contribute down the stretch on this team. And you're doing it for a very reasonable price. And it's actually really fun. The best part about the Stars game, I would tell you to bring your kids. They have like a whole family play area.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Right at the end of the court, where they have bounce houses, discounted jazz merchandise. Like, it is a great time, and the Maverick Center is a great place to watch a game.
Yeah.
So next time they're at the Mav, I'd really encourage you to come out and watch a Stars game. It's worth you. It's absolutely worth you supporting them. 7:30 on the Monty Show. The biggest stories in sports, as always, on this show are presented by Quick Quack Car Wash. Love my guys at Quick Quack. They're always friendly. You get in and out of there. We were talking about it yesterday. There's a line at Quick Quack. You're out of there still in 5-7 minutes. Because they don't make you stop at like this little computer podium thing and fight your credit card. No. You have a person with an iPad who, when you have a wash pass, they just put in your license plate number, they wave at you, they hand you a free dashboard wipe, and you're good to go.
Hey, guys.
So the line just keeps on moving. You're in and out of there in 5-7 minutes. And the cool thing is, again, bring your kids to Quick Quack. They have all these cool like lights in the tunnel. Like the one I go to at the district has these red lights in the tunnel. The soap is different colors. It's like tie-dye. It drops on your car. Like, it's super cool. I think Quick Quack does a great job. It's why they get my money every month. I pay them $21.99 a month for their top car wash pass. I probably get my car wash 10 times a month, especially in the wintertime with the snow and the ice taking a beating.
How about the snow?
Dude, how about the early season snow?
Yeah.
It's just so good for our water table. And in a time where we are struggling, by the way, Christmas is going to be cold.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'll be in LA.
It won't be cold for us, but you know.
But yeah, you got to keep your car clean. And I'm telling you, folks, you have got to get to Quick Quack Car Wash. Tell them you heard about them on the Monty Show. By the way, when we're in LA next in 2 weeks here, one more week to go. By the way, we leave a week from
rocking
tomorrow.
That short timer syndrome?
Oh, my God. Am I rocking that short timer syndrome? But they are home on Christmas Day for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
We going to that game or what? You don't want to. Why do you not want to go?
Because it's football. It's football.
What's wrong with football?
You're sitting like, I don't know, man.
You don't like going to football games in person.
I'm not a football guy the way I'm an NBA guy.
Dude, I am a huge football guy. Football games in person are awesome. What about the Lake Show? The Lakers.
I'm gonna pull my leg to the Laker game. I'll go
the
see
Lakers.
Bron.
The Lakers are at Dallas on the 25th.
Jokes.
They're on a long road trip, so we can't go and see them there. But
Clippers?
doesn't that mean the Clippers are home?
Yeah.
right? The LA Clippers. The Clippers got to be home.
Got?
Who the Clippers got on Christmas? They're on the road too. What the hell? They're on the road too.
Casuals.
Are you serious?
Casuals, bro.
They're at Philadelphia, Detroit, Toronto, Boston, Indiana. How are both LA teams out of town?
Okay, how about the Kings?
The Kings are home. The LA Kings are absolutely home.
Kings or Ducks?
Boy, I'd go to a Kings game. I'd absolutely go to a Kings game. I know that they're home. Who's playing? Nobody on Christmas Eve. Nobody on Christmas Day.
Bro, what are we doing?
And then the Kings are home on the 27th, but that's the day we drive off to Tahoe.
See, screwed.
We're screwed. No professional sports.
You know my other problem with
it's a football game.
You know my
I
other
don't want to go to a football game. I might
problem?
bruise my labia.
Dude, they're so expensive to go to.
My labia. Nothing? Okay.
No.
I like
I'm not
dude,
humoring
okay,
your little
what
game.
is your favorite sporting event to go see in person?
The World
In the
Cup.
comments section. Okay, here we go. Here we go. You've never been to a World Cup match.
No, I haven't.
My favorite sport that you have regular access to in person is an NBA game. It's not even close. Number 2, though, is a big college football game. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd take the NHL first.
Over a big college football game.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy. Really. I love going to a Utah Grizzlies game. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
This weekend, by the way, they have Teddy Bear Toss and Ugly Sweater Night on Saturday. Absolutely use the promo code JY Monty.
Go watch the new short.
Monty. Yeah. The new short that's on the Utah Grizzlies channel is actually ours. We produced that with the Grizzlies. So find the Grizzlies on YouTube. Watch the short.
Yeah.
You can, if you want to get discounted Grizzlies tickets, JY Monty is the promo code. That's our promo code you get for a discount on Grizzlies
And it
tickets.
actually is a really good deal.
It is a really good deal. Jeff says, Angel Stadium home games, no question. Stadium food, first base side. Man, I miss that. I love baseball.
Baseball games. I would go to a baseball game every day if I could, dude. I love baseball games.
You know what I like about baseball games is you can have a good conversation.
Yeah.
You can have a good conversation. That's what I like about football games. So, and I know what Tanner was.
Here we go. Let me guess. Tanner's rolling out with RSL.
He is. But Tanner's like, hey, do you guys know, can you draw the RSL logo without looking? No, and I'm glad I cannot. And I'm glad I don't know. Like, Tanner, you come up with the weirdest stuff. But he says, an RSL game, LOL, just kidding. It's football for me, he says. Tyler P says, no way. Live college football is one of a kind. It is. It is. I'm telling you, when Rice-Eccles Stadium is full and it's Utah USC, you have a hard time beating that. You have a hard time beating that. When it was, probably the best college football game I've ever been to. USC Ohio State at the LA Coliseum was lit. That was back in the Brian Cushing days. But I've been to some games at Notre Dame. I've been to Utah games. A big college football game is really tough to build. Kurt Myers says PBR bull riding.
Okay.
Jake Gordon says, I just can't do baseball. Things move too slow in baseball. I love baseball. Love it. Salty Drunk says a Soakers convention.
Do you know? That's not a bad idea there.
Jake Gordon says the NHL hands down or anything hockey related. I don't disagree with that at all. Giggity says, when you're in LA, will there be an update on old bucket of bullets? Giggity,
why are you causing trouble, bro? Why are you causing trouble?
There will be. We're going to be off the last week of this year, so we'll work tomorrow, all of next week, but the week after that, we're off for Christmas and New Year. We'll be doing YouTube shorts. Maybe we try to include bucket of bullets. Who is my mother-in-law's neocon gun-toting ridiculously a-holic husband. I'm not a fan. The guy, we call him Bucket of Bullets. Because you walk into his living room and there is literally a bucket of bullets sitting on his coffee table. Why?
And technically, they're shell casings.
Oh, thank you. They're jackets. Do I dislike him too much?
How do you measure too much? I don't think you like him or dislike him, quote, too much. I think that
we don't speak.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't blame you for that. When the guy is making, mosquito fence references in reference to a mask, I
hate that guy. I just don't like him. My mother-in-law's new husband is an asshole. He just is. I'm sure he's not a bad guy. Well, that's a lie.
Fucking Cole Beasley.
Yeah, he's like Cole Beasley. Like, what? I don't know. Yeah, we'll keep you updated on that. We will absolutely keep you updated.
We are going to be doing YouTube shorts while we're in LA. Stay with the channel. I know we're taking a week off, and that wrecks the flow, but stay with us.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Fat Jesus says Bucket loves the smell of napalm in the morning. He does. He does. He does. Lopes fan Gabe, good morning, sir. As far as sporting event experiences, GCU men's basketball. Oh, yes. We've been to some pretty raucous Grand Canyon University, GCU men's basketball home games. Ooh. Home games have been consistently top-notch, even if the novelty of it wears off once you've been to a few. But the fans jumping up and down, and they've got their lopes up, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Edward Wayner says we need a Kliavkoff update. Screw the NBA. It's not even Christmas yet.
We gave you the update. Gave you the update.
Kurt says, now what the hell is wrong with a bucket of bullets? Hunting on the nines? Cabela's?
Yeah, Cabela's on the nines.
Cabela's on the nines?
Yeah, come on.
So we took down a 26-point buck on the open meadow yesterday. Had to hike it out with Teddy Wayman. Yeah.
Line of Kane and B12.
I think my favorite live sporting event by far is the NBA. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. By the way, back to the NBA, Jazz and Pels tonight. Where are you at on the Bulls? Because I am as a frustrated Bulls fan, dude, it is really getting to a point where one, they just extended their head coach Billy Donovan. I can't I can't even. Right?
It's terrible. Rotations suck, strategies suck, no adjustments, I don't get it.
And this whole thing with Ayo Dosunmu and they're just he
doesn't get it.
I don't understand. I don't understand where to go with the Bulls. I don't understand where to go. I don't know what to do. Ayo's out. He is hurt. And it is really frustrating to me that he has just stopped developing. And it's incredibly frustrating. And now you're looking at Alex Caruso being evaluated for a concussion. It's incredibly frustrating to me. And I don't know how you fix this. You look at what's going on with Lonzo Ball. Did you guys hear that update yesterday? Lonzo Ball is not close to returning.
He's a bum.
Not close to returning. Ayo's now out. Caruso's got a concussion, probably from getting his legs pulled out from underneath him last night.
For real.
Jalen Brunson did him dirty.
Yeah.
But they're just losing games that they shouldn't lose, even with all of this stuff happening.
Yeah.
They just shouldn't be losing these games. And Billy Donovan sucks. And the guy that also sucks, Nikola Vucevic, is a complete waste of space. I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
When you watch teams like Boston compete routinely, you look at Milwaukee, you look at Cleveland, Brooklyn, Philly, Indiana making deals. Like the Brogdon deal, and I know you don't believe me when I say this. Brogdon's a huge deal for Boston. And the Bulls never go out and make a Brogdon deal. They go make a Vucevic deal, and it blows up in your face. Right? And then you trade Wendell Carter, and all of a sudden he's a better player. It's just so frustrating to me to be a Bulls fan. Okay, there, I said it. I feel better.
Do you?
Yeah. Did you cry yourself to sleep last night or what?
Why?
Well, Steph Curry got hurt. He hurt his shoulder last night.
He'll be fine. It's his left arm, not his right arm. He'll be fine.
I'm not even going there. I am not
listen,
even going there.
He may have to take a night off, right? Like,
Caruso showed up last night. Headband was still smelly from that Snoop Dogg concert. In all seriousness, I like Caruso. Good role player. He's phenomenal. The guy is he is one of the best bench contributors in the NBA.
Yeah, how do we not have the mayor of Montytown in here hating on Caruso right now?
I don't know. NY Monty fan says, I got a bit by the same bug Ben Simmons did. Lonzo got bit by the same bug Ben Simmons did.
Lonzo just, I like the guy's game. He can't stay healthy, and you need to move on from him.
He's got a knee situation. The problem is you can't trade him now. I mean, he had dead bacteria or dead skin tissue inside of his knee from this bacteria he got. So they had to cut that out, and he's just trying to get back from this knee, but the guy's always hurt. And your best ability is your availability, and he's just not available. So that team is really frustrating.
Meanwhile, LaMelo's out here snapping nets and breaking dudes off.
You know, Tyler P says, remember when the Bulls wanted to give the Jazz Voos for Gobert? Yeah. And again, just it speaks to Danny's wisdom. It speaks to his ability to evaluate talent. I think the Jazz would have done that deal for either Ayo Dosunmu or Patrick Williams in a package of players and picks.
But of course, the Bulls wouldn't do that.
The Bulls wouldn't give up Patrick Williams, who's a nice defensive player. I agree with that. He's not an offensive guy. I don't see the upside in him either. I like Ayo Dosunmu a lot. They're not developing him, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
It is really, really frustrating. Really frustrating. Brent Terry says Curry is in need of some load management. Jake, are you going to manage his load for him?
I am an expert.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, managing loads is definitely a honed skill. You know.
Tyler says the Bulls sound like they need Conley. They need something other than nothing. I'm so frustrated. Salty Drunk says if you want to see the Bulls' success, dust off the 91-93 tape.
Agreed.
Thank you. I missed my Jordan poster in the background. It is, when you look at the top of this league to the bottom, it's not surprising who's there. By the way, again, did you guys see, not to espouse my greatness, but did you guys see the Clippers last night again? And I will just continue to say Rudy Gobert is a complete bust for Minnesota.
Excuse me, it's Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, excuse me.
Thank you.
11 points and 13 boards last night for Rudy Gobert.
Thanks for showing up.
Kawhi Leonard, 19 points in 31 minutes.
Fucking A.
Paul George, 17 and 33. They got 16 points out of Luke Kennard off the bench.
And still only scored 99 points.
It's ridiculous to me. And you look at Terrence Mann now not contributing the way he was. Like the Clippers are getting better. They're not relying on the same, B caliber players that they were relying on.
Yeah.
And they're getting better, and they're getting contributions out of a guy like Paul George, who's giving you 17, 11, and 11 for a triple-double to win the game last night. Rebounds and assists. That's what's so frustrating about this league is that the Bulls can't beat themselves, it seems like, yet the Clippers are getting triple doubles and a bunch of other dudes that contribute and they're winning games.
Yeah. And I think it's just better team basketball. You don't need one guy to put up 40. You need 5 guys to put up 20.
And again, I will just point to my guy, Donovan Mitchell.
Your guy.
I'll go to the grave saying that Donovan Mitchell's a stud. Donnie last night scores 34 points, 27 of them in the first half. 13 of 20, 6 of 9 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line.
Donnie,
34 points on only 2 free throws last night. He's averaging 29 points, 4 boards, 4 dimes, shooting 50% from the floor. And for a guy that's a jump shooter and a mid-range player.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
I'm telling you.
It's pretty good. The development's there. It's there. He's ready.
It was a mistake to trade him. I understand why they did. Don't freak out. I understand why they did.
You said that they shouldn't have traded Donovan Mitchell and that it was a mistake.
It was. I understand why they did it. But he's going to be an MVP in this league.
That's fucking interesting, man.
He is going to be an MVP in this league. There is just no doubt about that. MY Monty fan says, we all miss that Jordan poster in the background. I know. You do. All right, Football 50 coming up in 3 minutes. We'll get back to the Pac-12. We'll restart that conversation coming up at 8 o'clock, 8:30. Raleigh Alkins with the SLC Stars is going to join us. Want to get his thoughts on playing in the G League. Want to get his thoughts on the Jazz. Want to get his thoughts on Arizona, the Arizona basketball scandal, I guess.
Scandal.
Came to an end. Raleigh was involved in that in a small part, so we'll ask Raleigh Alkins about all of that coming up. Stars get a win last night over Oklahoma City Blue. And I really like what the Jazz are doing with their G League team. Seeing Ochai Agbaji getting big minutes in the G League, I think it plays a big role because I don't think he'd be getting minutes on the Jazz.
No.
He won't because when he's active.
Him up, and what did they do? They gave him minutes on the nights that they needed his minutes, but then they put him right back down to keep him playing.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly the right thing to do. And you can't tell me at some point that Frank Jackson doesn't contribute to the Jazz this year. And probably in a small way, but Frank Jackson's playing really well. You look at what they're getting out of these guys, and I think you have to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Again, I think the bummer is that Fontecchio's got this ankle thing he's dealing with, but you're getting a lot of growth now. Like seeing Bolmero play in the G League is exactly why you go to games here at Maverick Center for the Salt Lake Stars. I think it's exactly the right thing to do.
Yes.
So it's just me. Salty Drunk says, water's wet. Donovan brings out the kisses limp shortly. Okay. That's fine.